So hello everyone, it's Kema, watch me work. Today's video is about the Parkrun controversy. So I've been reluctant to wade into this debate, but I think it's time for me to give my unfiltered view on the whys, the hows, the what next of everything going on with Parkrun. So let's go. So unless you were living under a rock, you'd be aware there's been a bit of a controversy around Parkrun taking the records off their homepage. For those who don't know what Parkrun is, it's a volunteer-led fun run that happens on a Saturday morning for 5K. People sign up for free, you get your barcode, you show up, you run, you scan your barcode, you go home, and later on at the website, you'll be able to see how you perform. There's also a Sunday run for kids, which is I think 2K, which is really good. So how could something so simple create this tension? Well, the simple fact is, Parkrun announced a few days ago that they were taking away the records from their main page. This included the course records, the age category records, the world records, even the records for doing the 5K distance under a certain amount of time. Now, to be very clear, this information is not disappearing completely. You can still find it in other parts of the website. They were just taking it off the main page where they had this pride of place. My view on this is I wouldn't be surprised if Parkrun were put under a bit of pressure by certain groups. And why I think this is the reasons that have seemed to come forward for why Parkrun made this decision in the first place. So the two decisions that came up were the fact that transgender participants were allowed to self-identify their gender when they took part in a parkrun. And the second reason was that the records and the times were putting off casual runners who felt they were unachievable, and so it wasn't inclusive. So what I want to do now is kind of look at those two reasons and give my view and almost suggest what Parkrun could have done otherwise, but talk about, have they done the right thing? Is this the right thing for runners in general? And was there a problem to begin with? So let's start with transgender athletes. This is a discussion that has been happening at the top of sport for quite a while now. And let's be honest, even at the top level of sport, they haven't yet found a solution that works for everybody. The reason for this is you have one side that see their participation as a threat to the sporting integrity of women's sports, and then you have the other side who see their inclusion as a sign of a progressive society. My view on this is, whichever way you feel about this, Parkrun is probably the least equipped organization to find the right solution. The problem for Parkrun is highlighted by some of the solutions put forward. One of those was that they should have an other category. For me, that's not a solution. That takes us back to square one because people would still need to self-identify. They could go into the male or the female or other. It's up to them. Now you might ask, well, we could police that. How do you do that? How do you police this? Because Parkrun is run by volunteers. You have someone coming to scan barcodes, put out cones and markers. Are you now going to tell that individual, when you're scanning the barcode, can you just quickly check the person is the correct gender? That is never going to happen. And there are so many data privacy concerns that would happen if we took that route. So the other suggestion was leave things as they are. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Keep the status quo, which I think is all right for someone like myself, a male park runner, to say, well, it's not affecting me. Why are you changing it? I can't, in good faith, talk about how this is affecting female park runners. I am in no position to say whether this is a good or a bad thing. The fact that Parkrun has decided they needed to make a change tells you there was a problem. It tells you they've had feedback from somewhere that this is an issue that needs addressing. So for me, the minute there was an issue that needed addressing, status quo no longer worked and they would have to do something. It's funny the number of men who have gotten up to be supportive of the changes being made by Parkrun under the guise of being supportive of female sporting integrity. My only ask is that these men show the same energy for other discussions around gender inequality in the future, because at the moment it still feels like there's a bit of a philosophy culture war going on and Parkrun is just the latest battleground. So you see where I'm going with this. We're being drawn into a debate that's happening all over the world around transgender participants. Let's move to the second reason, which was that the records and the fast times were put putting off some of the casual runners. So me personally, I do not buy this one. If you're running a park run in 45 minutes, do you really care that someone is running it at circa 15 minutes? Do you care that there's a guy called Andy who has run it in 13 minutes and 45 seconds? No, you don't. When you're running a park run at 45 minutes, you are not checking what the course record is. You are not looking at the times being done by the top 5. You're probably at best looking at the people around you, maybe in your age grade, or someone who started running at the same time as yourself. Let me tell you something, if you're me, you're more likely to be bothered by the fact that a 70-year-old park run regular runs past me on the home straight to finish well ahead of me. I'll be sat there thinking, why is he so fast, or why am I so slow? That's more likely to bother me than the records on the homepage. At the end of the day, no one really cares about how fast the elite are running. We care about those around us, what we call our competitive set. And I'll give you an example. So my PR is sub 20 minutes. And at my last park run, I ran a 20.07 parkrun PB and came 7th, right? So far so good. I did not care what the course record was. What I did care about was to find out the time of the guy who came 6th. And the reason for that is he was in front of me, he stopped, came off the course to take a wee, came back on behind me, ran, caught me up, passed me to finish 6th. So the first thing I needed to do was see what his final time was, how old he is he part of a running club? That was my interest. I didn't care what the course record was. I didn't even look at the time of the person who finished first. I was just focused on finisher number 6. And even if I decided to care now, that information about who came first, who's the fastest, etc. is still there. You can find all this information that Parkrun have taken off their homepage still on the website. It's just you have to go looking for it, which I guess maybe proves their point to an extent. So for me, I am disregarding this as a reason. I think people just want to run. I know this contradicts what a lot of newspaper articles are saying, but honestly, people just want to run and they don't care about records being on the homepage. So what about those who've lost their records? I think the kind of individuals who would have a parkrun record do a lot of running at a higher than average level. These people pay a lot of money to take part in running events throughout the year. Talking about paying for running events, watch my video on the cost of running. It is a fantastic watch. So with that in mind, I don't think they'll be that bothered by this change. I might be wrong, and this small group of people, there is some bragging rights. You can show people your records, where you are. It's a competitive world when you're running sub 15 5Ks, but that information is still there. So the bragging rights are not lost. Yes, it's not on the homepage, but they can still show that information, which goes back to my point about the sort of discouraging casual runners. I don't think this is going to discourage them because the information, the records, the times are still there. They're still on Strava, they're still on Runkeeper. So I'm still not sure how this affects the casual runners. This all comes back to the first point that this is about transgender participants. There's been a petition to put the records back. Almost every single newspaper, channel has had a view on this and around whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, and it's just part of the same age-old debate that is going on. So what's my view on how we can resolve this? Well, I don't think Parkrun can resolve it. They've kind of buried their head in the sand by moving the records from the main page. They've decided we couldn't do nothing, but we couldn't do anything too drastic, and this was sort of a middle ground. The fact that the majority of parkrunners are not affected doesn't mean that there aren't people who are affected by the way things were before the change or the way they are now, and we do have to consider them. And that is where Parkrun has a problem. They now need to react or do something to keep these two groups happy, and that is, to my view, almost impossible. The reason being that I think the groups on either side of the debate are using Parkrun as the latest staging ground in their ongoing battle, and for that there needs to be a common sense solution. That needs, in my opinion, to come from the top end of competitive sports, because they've got the resources, the insight, the data, and the will to find a solution for transgender participants in athletics. It is not up to a volunteer-led 5K fun run on a Saturday to find that solution. Now, I'm sure most of you watching attended a park run at the weekend, and you're going to attend one in the weekend coming. People will keep on running regardless of the debate that's going on, regardless where the records are, regardless of self-identification. And I think that's the important thing. Parkrun was purely about running, and at the moment it feels the debate has moved away from that. And on the off chance there are people that were put off by the records put off by the Strava bulls who run really fast and do insane times. The thing I'll say to you is, even if you're running a park run in 45, 50, 60 minutes, you are still in a small minority of people who got up off the couch, out of their house, went to their local park and finished a 5K. You are a winner regardless of your time, and don't let anybody or any records, regardless where they're posted, take that away from you. So that was a very quick video, even though it felt like a rant, but thank you for watching. Please like, share, and of course subscribe so you can see more of my videos, and I'll see you soon. Take care.